I came in pretty late in the process. That's not always the case. Sometimes you have films where you come in already in the writing process, or even in the when you get the first script, you're already starting to develop music. In this case, I was coming in, where the film was already very much in a good shape, cut it, and there were already sounds line in the as examples in the film where I felt they were already so strong and explicit that it was very nice for me to find this music world, and also to find solutions for the placing, because a lot of times in a war movie, let's face it, there's not much place for music, specifically in the explosion area, and in the gunfights and stuff like that. That's all the frequency that music is battling with. You have to find, I would say, elements that can stick out in certain moments of silence, or where there's a spot between, let's say, a tank and an explosion. Here you need some small space where something recognizable is coming out, and so I think that was already setting the path for me.
And as for the sound, sound designer, how did you guys find? You explained like so finding that balance in order to create, not overlap, not have each other overlap, like the music and also as well as the sound effects and explosion. How are you able to create this sound palette?
Well, sound-wise, we are very much tied to the picture, obviously. We are kind of limited in the way that we can shape things. But I think one aspect why the sound and the score are really working so well together is because quite often we are not approaching the scene in the same way. Sometimes the score is something completely different, while in the sound there's the full-on battle and you hear all these explosions and everything going on. Sometimes there are just like these tiny fragile strings coming in, and that really for me was why it all worked so well, because we are kind of doing things in a very opposite way, telling the scene in an opposite way, but that creates a nice symbiosis, to me it always felt like the scene when Paul and Kat take shelter in the trench, and Kat already jumps onto the machine gun, and then the war is really at its peak. The music is very, very gentle there, and that's the way that makes it really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of moments, there are moments in the sound design that you'll never forget, such as, I don't know if I have to pronounce his name, but Tjaden, Tjaden. How do you pronounce his name?
Tjaden.
Tjaden, digging a fork into his neck, as well as the French soldier Paul kills in the crater. He's gurgling in his own blood. How did you achieve such authentic and disturbing noise? Like,
ooh, yeah, it's a very intense scene, and actually, even after having seen the film 100 times, it's still a scene that is very hard to digest, I have to say. And yeah, I agree. Part of it is because the sound is so literal in a way, and it was a great effort from the Foley team as well. They tried different materials, kind of, that would really feel like the fork is going through skin. It's really a matter of experimenting, and but it's one aspect of that film that it's really not, it's not holding back in telling the true face and of war. And that scene actually, yeah, it's the same thing with that scene. We didn't want to prettify anything. We really wanted to be bluntly honest. So yeah, the sound is very literal. I agree.
Absolutely. And back to the composing, in your cue remains, you use this swell that's absolutely terrifying. And what inspired you in writing this cue?
Well, I told you before that I wanted to have a very short segment because I also felt that if I have a long melody composed, it might be get destroyed in the middle of it, and I can't really adjust it because I need, let's say, if I need 6 notes, it's very difficult to, you need length in a way. But with 3 notes, you have just an iconic kind of element that you can actually stretch, but you can also play it, in a very simple and raw way. And these first 3 notes, when they come in, that's actually I would say, the war machine sound, the sound that comes in when we know the machine starts to roll, and that and it needed a little bit like in a way we called it always the Led Zeppelin's theme, because it was so wild and it had this kind of a rage in it, like I would say like a heavy metal band or something like that, so that you can actually feel the physical aspect of it. And but at the same time, it's not sounding like an ancient, let's say, an ancient war film where you have a lot of war horns that sound much more like medieval instruments. So this is a harmonium that I used, and I put it through an amplifier, and I just boosted the bass, and that was belonging to my grandmother. At some point in the 1900, around 1900, it was standing in our family's home, and it was accompanying old Christian, like I would say, Bach chorals as a replacement, as an organ. And this time I just used that for specifically this iconic 3-note element, which, when it was approved from the director, who really reacted in a way that I was like, thank God, he's so enthusiastic about it, that I could use it then in other places, even in the trumpet of the military trumpet player that is, trumpeting for the attack, or when the general is arriving. There is again this motive of these 3 notes, and I had the feeling it's nice to actually play with one element.
Interesting. Yeah, it's a very interesting melody. Da dum bum.
Yes. So and I think because you can sing it, it was not intentionally. I didn't want it to find like something that everybody can hum, but I can see now, we've done so many Q&As and so many reactions were coming to me that exactly that happened, what you were doing. They were just humming it. They said, this is a great element.
It's fascinating, and like kind of leads into my next question. Everyone kind of feels everything. Did you too have the chance to visit the set when possible to get a feel for the environment in order to inspire your work?
Well, Marcus had, me don't.
The set? No, the
No,
set we weren't able to.
You weren't
visit it.
able.
No,
Oh, okay.
we love to, but it was due to COVID restrictions. Actually, we also fell into the COVID trap. But yeah, normally we would go there, visit the set. Well, not just visit, but also take the chance and record stuff. But this time it couldn't happen, which is a shame, really, because the set is, well.
But where did you track the microphones through the mud? Where was that?
Oh, we did that later on.
Okay.
We did it later on, yeah.
But on the set itself, or somewhere else?
No, actually, we did it somewhere else.
Okay.
But yeah, we would have loved to go to the set, actually.
Yeah, there is one sound in the film which I found very fascinating, that they created, where they track actually microphones through the mud. And you can actually hear in certain, I think it's somehow the basis for a certain.
Yeah, it is. Well, the recording itself is a little bit, when you just hear it the way it is, it's very crunchy and just some earth movement. But then we use that as a starting point to like pitch it down and create a very claustrophobic element that we used when the bunker collapses, for instance. There's all that explosions going on around him, and to kind of translate it into the sound, how the shelter around them is is getting is falling apart basically. That sound, yeah, helped us a lot. And yeah, some of the weird sounds, if you think about the making, you know, it's just this little tiny microphone that you drag through soil and through earth, and it creates that huge sound at the end.
It's like it's so practical, but it works so well. So that's incredible. But can you both describe your collaboration with Edward on this film and what makes him such a fantastic director working with him?
Well, I mean, we both experienced, I guess, the freedom, I would say, that we had in working, you know, because when you get asked, the nicest thing, and I guess that is in your profession the same, and you get asked because you have the quality yourself, then you're always feeling uplifted and you're doing a great job. But if, you know, sometimes you get asked for the same thing, but it's not all about you, it's just, it can be done by somebody else in a way. But with Edward, you have the feeling, I had actually the feeling that he asked me personally to do my best that I can deliver to the film. And whenever I send it over and I felt this is my best, the reaction was not negative. It was much more like, I totally see where you're going to. And of course, it's a collaboration, so it's a back and forth. But at the same time, and I believe in that system anyways, that you actually take the good things beforehand. Mm-hmm. And then you say, but could we do this a little bit more, or can we enhance that? And that's what his qualities are. He's really encouraging, and you know, you actually get to the limit of what you can do.
Yeah, I can only second that. For us, it was I think for the whole sound crew, possibly, it was the first collaboration with Edward. So it's interesting, you know, if you haven't worked together before, then you don't know exactly how things work out, and things might, or the process might take longer because you don't have that kind of blind understanding yet, and things might take more time to communicate. But Edward is so cool, you know. He would just give us, when he had an idea about a scene, he would give us very brief like one-liners, basically. Think about Das Boot was was an idea he sparked when we were approaching the bunker scene. So in general, he kind of pushes you into a direction, but with, as Volker said, he leaves a lot of freedom, and he really appreciates your creative input. And that, as an artist, is, I think, is the best vibe you can create, because there's a lot of trust coming from Edward. Yeah. And especially for us that we haven't worked together before, really, this is the vibe that, you know, really motivates you to.
I just want to say thank you so much for having the time to speak to me. And like, you guys have had an incredible, you know, were vital to the, you know, process of making this film. And it's, I truly, as a fan, it's an honor to meet you guys, and thank you so much for having the time to speak to me. So.
Thank you so much.